Sentential semantics deals with the study of sentences. It judges sentences, and it judges how different potentials potential units combine together, and they give sense to sentences. What is sentential semantics? What is a sentence? A sentence is a grammatical unit or a string of words of a particular type which is well formed, and this well formedness is specified in the grammar of the language. A sentence has meaning, and the meaning is hidden in the words and their grammatical arrangements. We may see that the grammar of a language is associated with principle of composition. What is composition? It is the rules which tells us how to put together the meaning of the constituent of construction. A sentence does not have a if a sentence does not have a truth value, it does not have truth condition. So the aspects of meaning of a sentence is used in a particular situation, and that particular situation, that specific situation are known as the propositional content of the sentence. Meaningful of sentence. Whenever we study meaning, whenever we judge sentences, we are concerned with the meaningfulness of that sentence. Sentences are always grammatically well formed. They are sentences because there is grammar in it. There is no such thing as an ungrammatical sentence. There is even no concept of that in semantics. Sentences, however, may be either meaningful or meaningless, but as we compare them with utterances may be either grammatical or ungrammatical. Many of the utterances which we produce in our daily life are ungrammatical with regard of various respect. Some of these are interpretable. We can explain them in keeping in view the context in which they are used. Indeed, they can be judged by those who are competent in the language. Grammaticality must not be identified with acceptability. Acceptability is different thing. Grammatability is different thing. Acceptability is related with the social context. It means that the members of a particular community must accept them. A sentence may be grammatical, but it may not be acceptable. So sentences are appropriately contextualized, and the meaning of one are its component expressions are extended beyond normal literal lexical meaning by means of traditionally recognized principles such as metaphor, metonymy, and many other. The fact is that it has been done on various occasions. The analysis has been done on various occasions to considerable effect. As far as this idea is concerned, it is interpretable. Meanings can be interpreted. If sentences are meaningful, you can interpret them both literally and metaphorically. Grammatical accessibility. Whenever we judge sentences, whenever we utter sentences, we must know that they should be arranged according to certain rules of grammar. Some utterances are, whether they are actual, whether they are potential, are both grammatical and meaningful. Grammatical and meaningful. Others are ungrammatical and meaningless. There are utterances of many types: meaningful utterances, grammatical utterances, ungrammatical utterances, and though fully grammatical utterances and perhaps also meaningful. Some sentences may be grammatical, some sentences may be meaningful, but they may be unacceptable. For example, there are certain social rules, certain social taboos, and we use those sentences or utterances keeping in view those taboos. For example, you can say his father died last night. This is not an utterance which is according to the social taboo. Instead of that, we can use his father passed away last night. So the second utterance is acceptable. It is grammatical, it is acceptable, and it is meaningful. So you can say that that we must keep in mind the social dimensions of acceptability, which have to do with the rationality and logical coherence. For example, logical coherence. For example, indeed, if uttered, it should also get social response. It must have a sense. What makes sentences acceptable or unacceptable is that they must be meaningful and they should be acceptable within the social context. However, fully acceptable in some utterances are fully acceptable in one context, in one social environment, and they are also unacceptable in another social environment or society. So one should not take too restrictive a view of the meaningfulness of uncontextualized sentences. The semantic acceptability or interpretability of sentences are two basic elements that we must view. How can you analyze sentences? We can analyze sentences keeping in view different factors. Paraphrase. What is paraphrase? Is a kind of approach in which we see what is synonym to words. This means the paraphrase explains a situation in which two or more sentences have one meaning. A sentence can have many paraphrases. There are two types of paraphrases, lexical and structural paraphrase. In lexical paraphrase, we have two or more sentences and they offer the same interpretation. We can replace one word or phrase by another. For example, the chef hired a bachelor. The chef hired an unmarried man. In these two sentences, the change in the structure is as a result of the substitution of a bachelor for an unmarried man. Both a bachelor and unmarried man are phrases. The man was agitated. The man was anxious. These two also offer the same meaning. Another aspect that we should keep in mind is ambiguity. Whenever we utter a sentence, whenever we are using any sentence, whether written or spoken form, it can give more than one interpretation. And when this kind of situation occurs, then ambiguity automatically arises. We have two types of ambiguity: lexical ambiguity and structural ambiguity. Lexical ambiguity occurs when the presence of just a specific words leads to multiple interpretations. For example, one word. For example, the team has many goals. The word goal offer two types of interpretation. She prepared tables. This has also multiple interpretation. It should be noted that goals and tables can be interpreted in easily based on the basis of context. Structural ambiguity is achieved by the organization of the elements of sentence. It is possible to explain these elements in different ways. For example, they promoted all English teachers. Then what you can see here that the ambiguity is here related with the English teachers, whether they are teachers of the subject of English or whether they are teachers belonging to English community. Boiling water can be dangerous. The ambiguity in the second sentence derives from the possibility of reading the sentence as water that is boiling, that means hot, can be dangerous. The second interpretation can be the act of boiling water can be dangerous. The first interpretation or explanation makes boiling water as the subject noun phrase, whereas in the second interpretation boiling water is the complement. So the ambiguity is related with the structure or in the syntactic features of the language sentence. A sentence is vague when it has no definite meaning. For example, we can also say that a typical sentence is ambiguous when it has no clear-cut meaning. For example, you can see the classical example from Chomsky that colorless green ideas sleep furiously. This is a totally meaningless sentence. So the ambiguity can be in the words, the ambiguity can be in the structure of the sentence, or a sentence can be totally or completely meaningless. Proposition. What is proposition? Proposition, it is the core sentence meaning. A proposition is the semantic kernel of a sentence that determines its truth conditions, independent of its syntactic form and lexical realization. Thus, it is a simple statement which can be true or false. For example, grass is green is true proposition. Why 5 plus 5 is equal to 8 is wrong proposition. So whenever we have the concept of proposition in our mind, we have to think whether a statement or sentence or utterance is true or false. It may be known, believed, or doubted. It may be asserted, denied, or queried. We can keep it constant under translation from one language to another. So it is quite clear that propositions must be distinguished from sentences. For the same sentence can be used on one occasion occasion to say what is true, and it can be used on another occasion to say what is wrong. And it is worth noting that even sentences subjects are also, for example, sharks hunt seals. Seals are hunted by sharks. Seals are prey to sharks. These chase and kill these others. The propositions in these examples are, for example, you can see that the propositions in these examples are offering the same sense, while the words that are, the verbs that are used are different. Sentences can be used to assert a variety of true and false propositions. There are certain natural languages in which personal names and place names are in one-to-one correspondence with their bearers. Philosophers and linguists frequently make the point that sentences contain definite description. For example, we can say wooden door, or more obviously we can use personal pronoun, demonstrative pronoun, and demonstrative adverb of place and time in order to assert or deny or query indefinitely many true and false propositions. Then presupposition and entailment. In presupposition, there is usually a piece of information which the speaker assumes the hearer already knows. This assumption is based on some shared background knowledge between the speaker and the hearer. So, on the basis of their background knowledge, both can decode or encode the message. For example, if there is a dialogue, for example, John says, "Are you able to bring Harry along?" And if Peter responds by saying, "That will be splendid," so we shall pick, the presupposition in this conversation is that both John and Peter know who Harry is. So they share the same background information. What is entailment? The second concept that is related with sentential analysis is entailment. There is usually a pair of sentences, and the truth of one part is derived from the truth of another. Consider the following sentences. Tracy is a spinster. Tracy is a female sentence. Derives from the meaning of sentence. This means that if sentence entails sentence, then sentence number 2 and then sentence number 2 is necessary, the implication of sentence number 1. So you can understand the sentence number 2 with the help of sentence number 1. Then anomaly. Anomaly results from the combination of two semantic features that are not compatible in describing a phenomena. Words attract specific selectional restrictions. We have to select certain words and we can fit them in certain contexts. For example, trees are vertical, while rulers and ropes and snakes are horizontal. For vertical items, we use long. For vertical artists we use tall, while for horizontal ones we use the word long. For example, we can say tall trees, tall buildings, tall people, but we cannot say tall ropes. We have to say long ropes, long snakes, long rulers. So it would be anomalous to have the following: a long man, a tall snake, etc. So then emotive meaning. First of all, in order to understand emotive, we must know that a sentence is factually significant to a given person if only and only if he knows how to verify the proposition. Proposition means truth value that it purports to express. This has to do with the factual significance. When we are restricted with the proposition, we only keep in mind the factual significance. So verifiability principles that is related with the logical positivist, they assured and they judge the meaningless or nonsensical sentences that were related with the theological propositions. For example, God is good. For example, God is good. It is not something that is verifiable, but held to be philosophically. It is philosophically verified sentence, and it is related with emotive aspect of language. Emotive aspect means which expresses meaning and which gives when something that is related with one's feelings, one's emotions, and whenever one expresses the concepts on the basis of philosophical implications, we can say that that sentence has emotive meaning. Analyticity. We have also to judge sentences keeping in view whether we can analyze them. We have to keep in mind the analyticity of the sentences. Analyticity is related with grammatical forms and lexical meaning of that sentence, that propositions. These two grammatical forms and lexical meaning make that sentence necessarily true. For example, logical truth are, which we can say tautologies, are subclass of analytical truths. Truth is determined wholly by their meaning. Truth is related with meaning. So we can say this bachelor is unmarried is tautologous sentence, and this bachelor is married is a contradictory sentence. So we can say that a situation of tautology arises when we have unnecessary repetition of elements in communication. There is undue emphasis without necessarily making meaning clearer. Tautology is closely associated with redundancy, and we have also keep in mind the sentences. We have to analyze sentences on the basis of larger constructions. Larger status of meaning are related with larger constructions. This bachelor has not been married. The congregations are member of a church. Contradictory expression present two opposing propositions at the same time. Thus, a person cannot be dead and alive at the same time. Other examples of anomaly are: the circular house is rectangular. The drains are flooded because there is no rain. So there is contradiction in the construction of these sentences. Truth condition theory. This theory is related with the meaning of sentences when we specify the condition under which it would be true or false of the situation or the state of the world that it purports to describe. It is said that to know the meaning of a sentence is to know the conditions under which it would be true or false. That theory is called truth condition theory. Another aspect is transferability. Transferability is sometimes mentioned by linguists is that if a sentence is semantically acceptable but not grammatically, distinctions can be made across language. However, it is not clear that sentences can be semantically unacceptable in some languages is semantically acceptable in another language. The criteria of transferability can be supplemented, but it does not supplant our main criteria of corrigibility. So if a sentence is translated from one language to another, we can say that it has meaning, has sense, but these differ from language to language. Corrigibility. We turn now to discussion of a famous and influential philosophical criteria of meaningfulness, verifiability, and corrigibility. Another criteria that is sometimes mentioned by linguists is transferability. This rests on the view that semantic but not grammatical distinctions can be made across language. However, as we shall see later, it is not clear that sentences semantically unacceptable in some languages is semantically unacceptable in all language. The criteria of transferability can be supplemented, but it does not corrigibility. We turn now to discussion of a famous and influential philosophical criteria of meaningfulness, and that is verifiability. Verifiability. The verifiability or verification theory of meaning has to do with truth. It was originally associated with the philosophical movement known as logical positivism, initiated by the members of the Vienna Circle. It has been of enormous importance in the development of modern philosophical semantics. It follows the principle, and that is based on this, that a sentence is factually significant to a given person if only and only if he knows how to verify the proposition which it purports to express. It simply provides a criteria of one particular kind of meaning, meaning that is factually significant. It does not define meaning as such. All verification is ultimately a matter of observation. Universal statement of the kind that scientists tend to make cannot in principle be verified, though they may be falsified by means of observation. For example, the statement that all swans are white can be falsified by observing just a single instance of a black swan, but it can never be proven to be true on the basis of just one empirical investigation. So, thus to conclude, semantics in its two dimensions, grammatical semantics and sentential semantics. It has two dimensions, grammatical semantics and sentential semantics. Under grammatical semantics, we study about the difference and the relations between lexical meaning and grammatical meaning. The meaning of major grammatical categories. Grammatical meaning is associated with noun and noun phrases. Grammatical meaning is associated with verb, adjectives, and their properties and quantification. Under sentential semantics, we focus our attention on paraphrase, ambiguity, vagueness, tautology, presupposition, entailment, anomaly, and analyticity. Thank you very much.